This is Jerry, also known as you, the main character. Now, over the past 3 years, he and the world around him has evolved from a blue guy with nothing to do to a yellow guy with swords, enemies, wonky physics, exploring mountainous terrain with mechanics from your favorite games, and strange worlds. But before I show you what I've been working on, we're gonna go all the way back to the beginning. I left Unity. After a couple years of messing around in there, I decided Unreal Engine was a better option. Now, I always had a dream of making a game similar in style to Breath of the Wild and the mix of Just Cause 3, Assassin's Creed, and Elden Ring, but with a medieval twist, although I'll have a wide range of weapons and locations from various time periods. I plan to have kingdoms, different factions, and some pretty cool creatures, and I saw this as a perfect opportunity to spend years of my life developing. Anyways, I'm used to seeing beings as characters in Unity at this point, as this was before they made the basic third-person character movements, but I saw this and fell in love with Unreal instantly. It was more advanced than any other movement system I had ever seen before, and it would have probably taken me years to develop myself. Y'all don't want to hear about that. So let's see the gameplay. Yeah, it turns out a walking simulator isn't as fun as it sounds. This is a real game, by the way. No hate, obviously, but played it, and from what I remember, yeah, the title's accurate. The land was barren, and I had no idea how to make stylized assets yet. And I saw this one and fell in love again. I made a couple landscapes and tried changing a couple stuff like the ground textures, tried making a couple trees, but after a while I kept scrapping them. I kept bushes and flowers though. I made a cell shader, or commonly known as a toon shader, because if animals and humans use it, I think it complements the environment. I added an inventory system and the combat system, because obviously you would need that, and made a main menu screen and a menu screen with a simple quest setup and my magical stylized water. For a while, I experimented with different types of animals and some of the first hideouts, which, for the record, I think look absolutely horrible now. Then I deleted my landscape and made a new one, and overhauled the foliage by making it all interactive, giving the grass some height and changing some of the colors around. Then I thought it was time to work on modular assets and create my first little cities. It literally killed my FPS. I thought it was okay for some reason to put tons of vertices on every wall, which is basically like little points that make up a wall. And the less, the better for performance, obviously. As you can currently see, I'm not an all-knowing capybara like you see on screen. He's actually just an intern. I'm always looking to learn more. I'd say I'm an intermediate dev right now, so if anyone has level design tips, blueprint tips, or any tips in general, make sure to let me know. I have a Discord in the description, and if you recommend me a cool idea or a tip, I'll put your name in the credits. Around this time, I started experimenting with randomized wind, animating some of the previous models I made, and different biomes, with the ideas that you guys give me. Then, I deleted my world again. I made modular assets the right way this time. I made new models and began to work on a city, which gave me a new problem. My FPS slowed because of the amount of materials currently present in the world, which is now another thing I have to keep mind of. I later moved on to a skill tree and animated new moves for the skill tree, which kinda sucks. I hate the art. I'll redo it soon, and make sure you subscribe so I can pay for this motion capture suit, or maybe they could send me a free one. New modes of traversing the land. Climbing, swimming, you name it. This will help me make a few more areas more fun. I can create some challenging missions and puzzles with this. Climbing also made me redo my beautiful modular assets to make it compatible. But hey, at least now every building is climbable. Breath of the Assassins, I call it. So now you could scope every melee enemy from above. After this, I got curious to see how much game dev powers I have. So I began to work on an experimental physics-based combat, which on paper sounds cool, but currently doesn't work the way I want it to, and it gives me some bugs in other areas. During my physical era, I also added physics-based stamina and weight, which basically means as you gradually use your stamina, you get more and more physics applied, which makes your character look like he's gradually getting tired. And I think you should have guessed what's gonna happen by now. Yes, I deleted my landscape again. I made a new and more realistic one, which looks so much better. And the first time my game actually has mountains, instead of just pointless hills. I also made a test world called Land of the Dead. I planned for the player to come here either every time they die and fight a random group of enemies to get their inventory back, or just serve as a world for the story. In my last video, some of you guys said this would get pretty annoying pretty quick, so if you have any ideas for this world, it's basically a blank slate at this point. But now, I think it's time to talk about something a little bit more fun. My friends at Brilliant have an insane catalog of interactive guides on understanding tons of complex topics, ranging from math, data analysis, programming, and AI, while never breaking the fun, using things like interactive graphs and UI to activate those neurons in your brain and teach you effectively. While looking at some pretty cool stuff, the interactions are making me feel like Tony Stark. On the topic of game dev, they also teach Python, which was the first language I learned. They teach you how to build a strong foundation as a developer, and you can learn essential topics like loops and variables. If you use my special code brilliant.org/skyline, you get a month free trial plus a 20% off annual premium discount. So if you're interested in improving your knowledge this summer or just in general, the link is in the description. Now to the present. New types of wood materials, new enemy camps, hideouts, and blockades. And I've begun to work mostly on environmental structures, but I threw in some weapons in there too. I'm gonna work on a dialogue system soon, but I still don't know exactly how I want it. I gathered some armor references for when I'm done with the weapons, which I'll cover in the next video when it's done. I'm gonna give a statement. Since I used a couple assets throughout my years, and people like to complain, some assets appear in this video. Assets are useful for people such as myself that can't make everything since I'm one person. Some side effects of assets may include making a really fun game, making an asset flip, and in rare cases, death. Do not use assets if you're allergic to fun, creativity, and innovation. Do you suffer from one-personitis? Talk to your doctor. Assets may be right for you. But yeah, this was all in 3 years. I don't know when I'll get an early access. I keep saying soon, but I feel like I'm not doing enough. So only time will tell. And yeah, good night. Please subscribe.